Welcome to the Explainer. Today, with a little help from our friends at Custom Case Coach, we're doing a serious deep dive into frameworking. And look, instead of just talking theory, we're going to get our hands dirty and crack a real-world business case to show you how a bit of structured thinking can solve some absolutely massive problems. Okay, so let's set the scene. Meet our client, Beta Dental Insurance. Now, these guys had a pretty revolutionary idea, a flat $500 annual fee for unlimited basic dental services. Think about that. And it worked. It was so popular, they basically cornered the market in their state. We're talking 2 million customers. And this is where things get really interesting. See, their revenue? Totally stable. A solid $600 million. But their profit? Whoa, it's been chopped in half. Dropping from 200 million all the way down to just 100 million? Yikes. So that's the big question, right? Where did $100 million in profit just disappear to? That's what we've been brought in to figure out. And we're not just going to guess. No, the key here is to have a plan, a structured approach. And that's where a framework comes in.
Well, when you look at the timeline, one thing just jumps out. There was one huge change that happened right when the profits started to tank. Just 1 year ago, Beta signed a big partnership with a low-cost dental chain. You ready for this name? Big Smiles. They even launched this huge marketing blitz to send all their customers there. So yeah, this is definitely our prime suspect.
And this is exactly why a good framework is a consultant's best friend. It's our roadmap, you know? It stops us from getting bogged down in random details. Instead, we can tackle this problem in 3 logical chunks. First, we'll look at the big picture, the market. Then, we'll put our prime suspect, that Big Smiles partnership, under the microscope. And last, we'll turn the mirror on our client, Beta itself. So, let's kick things off with the market.
Okay, step 1 is basically a sanity check. We look at the outside world. Has something fundamental changed with customers? Did a new, flashy competitor show up on the scene? Are there new costs hitting everyone in the industry? Now, it's super important to check these things off the list, but let's be real. Since the huge change was internal, it's pretty unlikely the main problem is out here. All right, so with those external factors looking like a dead end, our investigation gets laser-focused. It all points back to the partnership. It's the newest, biggest piece of the puzzle, so you better believe this is where we need to start digging. Now, this leads us down to very different, but very possible paths. Think about it. Hypothesis A. The partnership is actually too good. The Big Smiles clinics are so easy to get to, the customers are using that unlimited plan like there's no tomorrow, which is skyrocketing Beta's costs. Or, hypothesis B, the partnership is a total flop. Customers can't stand the service, so they're leaving in droves, and Beta is just hemorrhaging cash on marketing just to tread water and keep that revenue number flat. But hang on. There's a third possibility we can't ignore. What if the problem isn't about how many customers are coming or going, but about the deal itself? You know, maybe that quote-unquote low-cost deal with Big Smiles wasn't so low-cost after all. It's totally possible we're just paying them way too much for each service, and it's eating our profit margin for lunch. Okay, so we've looked at the market, we've looked at the partner, now it's time to look in the mirror. Is it possible that the problem, or at least a big piece of it, is coming from inside our own client's house? This means Beta really has to do some soul-searching. Could that profit dip just be a hangover from a giant one-time marketing spend? Or maybe, and this is a big one, is their whole unlimited pricing model just not working anymore? On the flip side, are there things they can control? Like, could they tighten their belts on internal costs? Or what about going after that huge untapped market of 8 million uninsured people right there in their own state? All right, so take a breath. We've just used our first framework to map out all the possible reasons for this $100 million headache. So now what? Well, now we build a second framework. This one isn't for investigating, it's for deciding. It's our action plan. And this framework gives Beta 3 very distinct paths forward. Path 1, go back to the way things were. Path 2, fix the partnership that's broken. Or Path 3, think bigger and find totally new ways to grow. So, option 1 is basically hitting the big undo button. But it's not quite that easy, right? You can't just flip a switch. We'd have to run the numbers, do a serious cost-benefit analysis. What's the real cost of breaking up with Big Smiles versus how much profit we think we'd get back by returning to the old dentist network? Now, option 2 is usually where people want to start. Can we salvage this? Let's try to fix the partnership. And you got to attack this from 2 angles, the deal itself and the customer experience. On one side, you go back to Big Smiles and renegotiate the nuts and bolts, like the payment terms. On the other, you have to work with them to actually improve the service their clinics are providing to your customers. And that brings us to our final path. This is the one where we zoom out and think bigger. It's about looking past the current mess and finding completely new engines for growth, whether that's with or without the Big Smiles partnership. And this is where things can get really creative. I mean, maybe the idea was right, but the partner was wrong. They could find a different dental chain. Or, hey, what about expansion? We already know there's a huge untapped market in their state. Why not go after it or go to new states? Heck, they could even take this unlimited model that people seem to love and apply it to something totally different, like pet insurance or even basic healthcare. And really, when you step back, this is the whole point of frameworking. It gives you that map. We started at this scary $100 million black hole of a problem, but by breaking it down, first to figure out what happened, and then to figure out what to do, we've turned a massive problem into a clear, manageable set of choices. So now I'm turning it over to you. You're in the consultant's chair. You've seen the map, you know the options. What's your call for beta? Do they go back? Do they fix it? Or do they find something new? Now, obviously, the right answer would depend on the data you go out and collect. But the beautiful thing is, you now have the perfect framework to know exactly what data you need to find.